Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you were watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with some more updates coming out from the Russian-Ukraine war to share with you. We've got numerous things to go over in detail today. So we're going to talk about the Kursk region. We're going to talk about Ukraine and Russia as well. But first, we're going to start with Moscow, okay, the capital of Russia. It actually came under attack by drones just in the last few hours here, just today on August 21st. 2024 on Wednesday. Russia's defense ministry said their air defenses destroyed a total of 45 drones over Russian territory. 11 of them were over Moscow. Okay, we've got a picture as well here in a little bit of a building on fire in Moscow. Although Russia's defense ministry said they shot all of these drones down, we've got a picture that shows a fire breaking out after a drone potentially struck a building. So 23 drones were destroyed over the Bryansk region, 6 over the Belgorod region, 3 over the Kaluga region, and 2 over the Kursk region. Okay, so it looks like dozens and dozens of drones were fired into Russia again just yesterday. So another massive attack onto Russia, and Russia's saying this was one of the largest attacks on Moscow to date. Moscow's mayor, Sergei Sobyanin, said this is one of the largest attempts to attack Moscow using drones ever. And he said this on the Telegram messaging app in the early hours of today. Okay, and he said that the layered defense of Moscow that was created made it possible to successfully repel all the attacks from the enemy UAVs. Okay, so obviously the Moscow governor coming out and, or mayor, excuse me, coming out and saying that they shot down most of these drones, if not all of them. But we do again have a picture of an explosion that has taken place inside of Moscow. We've got like a building or something on fire in the background. We had it on the thumbnail for you, but I'll pull it up on a picture here in just a little bit and show you the evidence from that attack. But definitely another major attack from the Ukrainians launching drones into Russia once again. So we actually got some video footage here now as well. What you're watching is coming out from the Kursk region. This is actually a compilation video of multiple attacks that have been happening inside the Kursk region. But there's one point in here where we can see towards the beginning of this video when it reloops that we can see these pontoon bridges that we've been talking about in the Glushkovsky district that have been destroyed by cluster bombs, okay, cluster munitions, and most likely these are ATACMS like what you see here. That was HIMARS striking that bridge. Now we've got these pontoon bridges being attacked by cluster munitions. So as far as I know, the only weaponry that I know that Ukraine has that can fire cluster munitions is ATACMS missiles, so maybe you guys can help me out with that one. Are we seeing ATACMS going off inside of the Kursk region now? Because if we are, this is the first time that we've got confirmation that ATACMS are being used inside of what would be considered Russian territory. Now, it might be under Ukrainian control, but this is exactly what we've been seeing when it comes to Ukraine pushing into Russian territory, is all of a sudden NATO is okay for them using nearly almost any type of weaponry they are giving them. Now, this is mostly like tanks and armored vehicles pushing into the Kursk region, but now we have been seeing HIMARS going off inside of the Kursk region. Now, potentially, as you can see there, the cluster munitions striking these pontoon bridges. So if this is ATACMS, and this is obviously major escalation, now that we're seeing ATACMS going off inside of Russia. So let's go ahead and jump on over to the news now. Let me start showing you some of this information. First, we're going to talk about Moscow. And we've got this report from Igor Sushko. Ukrainian drones are attacking Moscow. Interception over the suburb of Podolsk, 20 miles south of the Kremlin. So we've got a 16-second video of some drones coming in towards the Moscow area. So take a look at this. Okay, so definitely what we were able to see from this clip is for sure a Ukrainian drone being shot down by Russian air defenses. So clearly they did shoot some of them down, but I do have a photo that shows a fire that broke out here in just a little bit. We'll get to that soon, and I'll be able to show you guys, but I've got more video footage to show you of just drones attacking all over inside of Russia, but primarily in the Moscow region is where we have video footage. So we've got 3 videos here to show you as well from Nexta. It says the Russian Defense Ministry has claimed air defense forces shot down 45 Ukrainian drones over Russian regions. In particular, 11 drones were allegedly destroyed over the territory of Moscow region. Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin said this was one of the largest attempts to attack Moscow using drones. So we've got a few videos here to look over. So let's take a look at a couple of these here. Okay, so in this video, we were not able to see the drone or anything like that as far as I can see, but we could definitely hear an explosion in the background. It sounds to me like it struck something. If this drone was destroyed in midair, it was definitely destroyed very low. We are able to see some sort of a flash too, so definitely something maybe either gotten hit here, or if this drone was destroyed, it was destroyed at very low altitude. So we got a couple more videos to take a look at here. So this 12-second clip appears to show a drone right here, as we can see, heading on over to Moscow to strike some sort of target. Now, we don't have any major reports of anything being hit at this time, but maybe some information will come out later. All we have is a photo that I can show you guys here in just a little bit. So we got one more video to take a look at. Alright, so I know this was a little bit longer of a video and very stale towards the beginning, but we could hear that drone flying along, and it's pretty crazy because these drones don't fly very fast. Isn't it amazing how successful these drones are at striking targets? So we can hear that thing flying for a very long time, and then all of a sudden it sounds to me like it crashes into something and blows up. And then we hear all those car alarms going off in the background, and then all of a sudden we hear, this is clearly somebody's security camera footage. After this explosion goes off, we can hear the person inside. It sounds like they're opening up their door, maybe their screen door, to check what happened outside because they probably heard this explosion. So pretty scary, right? You know, to be living right next to that and you hear that drone going off and blowing something up in the background. And this seems to be something very common that we're seeing in Russia very often right now. So let's go ahead and keep moving. We've got this report as well from Ozent Technical. Overnight, Ukrainian forces reportedly hit a Russian S-300 surface-to-air missile battery outside of Novoshakhtinsk, Rostov Oblast. Okay, so the Rostov region coming under attack by drones. And we've got this report. Multiple people were actually reporting that an S-300 battery was hit. And this Russian channels reported a bright flash and explosions. The Ukrainian General Staff claims to have hit an S-300. Okay, so this video footage came out on Telegram and was shared on X, so take a look at this.
И вот у нас горит поле.
Okay, so what we see from this video appears to be a lot of smoke over this town. It almost kind of looks like there's multiple fires here, but I don't think that's the case. I think what happened is something got hit here in this region. This is in Rostov. And probably the smoke is just illuminating over the city, and the background from the lights is making it appear as if there's fires breaking out. But it's really hard to tell. It kind of looks like there might be fires there, but I really can't tell 100%. But definitely something was hit here, and according to Ozent Technical, we've got an S-300 surface-to-air missile battery that was potentially destroyed, according to Ukrainian General Staff. Okay, so that was some big news that came out. Also, this oil depot that we've been talking about in the Rostov region as well. This is the Kavkaz oil refinery, has been on fire for about 4 days now. Okay, so this report came out just early yesterday, and it says from Jason J. Smart, the area of the fire at the oil depot in Rostov, Russia, has increased several times. 22 fuel tanks on fire. Okay, last I had reported, it was something like 3 or 4 that had caught on fire. This thing has jumped up to 22 fuel tanks. Okay, this entire facility is going to be pretty much shut down for a very long time. It's going to be definitely majorly impacted, going to need a lot of repairs. And this is a major oil refinery that supplies fuel to the troops that are heading over to the eastern side of Ukraine. So this is new footage that came out yesterday. Take a look at this. All right, pretty crazy to see that blaze, and this looks very similar to whenever the Hodeidah port got hit. This happens to be definitely one of the largest attacks on an oil refinery or oil depot in Russia that I have seen for sure. We've seen some big hits down in the Kavkaz port as well. They have an oil depot down there that got struck, and we had a pretty massive flame down there at one point. I think that was back in like April or May or something like that when that thing got hit. But definitely a major strike here, okay? And I think it only started from like one fuel storage container, maybe 2 that got struck. And it turned into, 22 fuel tanks now that have been destroyed here at this oil depot. So they're definitely going to be hurting. And I'm hearing that there could be something upwards of like $200 million in damage just at this one facility and the amount of oil that has been lost due to this fire, okay? So very, very massive hit from the Ukrainians. Let's go ahead and keep moving here. Anton Gerashenko, we're going to talk about Russian state TV again. For the purpose of destroying the whole continent, it would be good to have a not 10 megaton, but a 1,000 megaton bomb so that the Earth's axis would shift. Russian propagandists laugh. They also discuss how many warheads are necessary to destroy Great Britain. So once again, Russian state TV talking about nuclear weapons, using them, dropping them all over the world, and also dropping nukes on Great Britain, okay? So I want you guys to take a look at this because this is how they frequently speak on here. It's pretty crazy.
То, что у России есть ядерное оружие, об этом сказал президент. Цифра 2000 ядерных боезарядов, которые у нас находятся, правда, на складском хранении, но, тем не менее, боеготовы. Это тоже не секрет. Не понял.
Для Британии хватит.
Для Британии хватит. Для Британии, да нет, хватит, вы знаете...
И 4.
Хватит, да, вот для того, чтобы было понятно, что когда говорят вот сокращать, то сокращать, это сокращать, каждый боезаряд – это цель. Любой, стратегический, не стратегический, это, так сказать, основа ядерного сдерживания. Поэтому, когда говорят, вот, там, упасть там, до 1000, ну хорошо, тогда это будет уже не неприемлемый ущерб, а приемлемый ущерб. А тогда, если упасть еще...
можно сделать так, чтобы целью был континент? Просто чтобы возможности боевые были такие, что один континент минус.
А для этого хорошо бы, так сказать, такую бомбу, там не 10 мегатонн, а так мегатонн 1000, вот так, чтобы уж так, чтобы ось Земли сместилась.
All right, so isn't it pretty crazy that these guys just openly speak about nuclear weapons like it means nothing? That they should just get, like, what do they say, a 1,000 megaton bomb and just drop it on the Earth so that way the axis can shift. I mean, it's absolutely insane that they speak like this, but we've been seeing more and more of this on Russia state TV, them talking about wanting to nuke other nations, and obviously we are very close to nuclear war right now, okay? It is extremely close. It could happen at any moment. One wrong move could be made, and we could have definitely nuclear war all over the entire world, so it's definitely a major threat. But I thought I'd show that to you guys because this is how they frequently speak here on Russian state TV. So pretty insane to see that. All right, guys, let's keep moving here. War translated. Dmitry reports the armed forces of Ukraine changed the sign from Kursk region to Sumy region. Okay, so they started changing some of the signs there in the Kursk region, switching them over to Sumy and saying now the area that they've taken control of in the Kursk, or the Kursk Oblast, is now Sumy region. So kind of funny at the same time, but crazy that we're seeing this again, that this whole operation in the Kursk region has been launched and been very successful from the get-go, and we'll see if they'll be able to keep this up. So that was pretty crazy to see that. Also, again, from Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko from Globe Eye News breaking. Belarus President Lukashenko says that if NATO troops enter Ukraine, nuclear weapons will be used. I mean, we just continue to hear this from the Belarusian president now. He sounds to be the new Dmitry Medvedev. Now that Dmitry Medvedev is AWOL right now, I have no idea where he is at. I haven't heard anything from him and basically since this Kursk operation was launched. Now we're starting to see a lot from the Belarusian president coming out making lots of nuclear threats. They supposedly just the other day, I think it was yesterday, started to move more of their troops to the border, but Ukraine again is coming out and saying that they're not seeing any evidence of Belarusian troops building up on the border of Ukraine. So I don't know what Belarus is doing, but they are just continuously making more and more threats. And who knows, is Belarus going to sacrifice their country? Is Lukashenko going to do this and try to nuke Ukraine and maybe take the hit for Russia? That way Russia doesn't have to do this, or what's going to happen here? I have no idea, but he's been continuously making major nuclear threats on Ukraine and saying if NATO troops enter Ukraine that they would use nuclear weapons. But isn't it already kind of true that NATO troops are there? I mean, we've been hearing about this for a very long time, so why is he coming out and saying this now? Very interesting. Thought I'd share that with you. Also, from Tendar, Russian forces are starting to dig trenches around the nuclear power plant of Kursk near Kurchatov in Russia. Yes, the Russian three-day war has reached this point. This is not absolute confidence. I don't know what is, if it is not absolute confidence, excuse me. So this came out of Telegram as well. We can see trenches being built here at the Kurchatov nuclear power plant. And obviously they're getting prepared to start defending this plant, and they do not want the Ukrainians to take it over, because this would be an absolutely huge win, for the Ukrainians if they were to take over this nuclear power plant. And I'm sure this is definitely a major goal for the Ukrainians in the Kursk region. And they're not too far away. I want to say they're not maybe more than 30, 40 kilometers away from this nuclear power plant, and they're approaching very quickly. So we'll see if they'll be able to get close enough to try to take this thing over. We'll see what happens. And also, here we go from Ukraine at front line. Moscow, after UA drones attacked this morning, let it burn. Okay, so we had this picture that was surfacing all over X coming out from Moscow showing a major fire that has broken out here in some portion of Moscow. We can see some sort of buildings or something on fire here in the background. So I don't know exactly what the target was, what Ukraine was going after. But if this picture is from Moscow, which according to Ukraine Frontline it is, and several other sources are reporting the same thing, definitely they did not shoot down all of these drones if this picture is from Moscow. Okay, so also from Anton Gershenko, a resident of the Kursk region of Russia who was evacuated to Sumy, told about his meeting with Ukrainian soldiers. The first Ukrainian soldiers scouts entered. I said I was the owner of the house, they said. We won't break anything, don't worry. We're not fascists, we're not shooting anyone. Very polite. Ordinary Ukrainian mobilized guys, stay here, don't come out. The next morning, when I came home, they were gone. They left, they didn't take anything, they didn't break anything. The man asked them to help him evacuate, and they took him to safety. So once again, what we're seeing from the Ukrainians is basically doing good deeds for the Russian civilians that are inside of Kursk, the Kursk region, okay? Many of them that have been essentially abandoned from their government. We've seen that from multiple videos as well. The Ukrainians being very kind to them, offering assistance, being respectful to them, not messing up their property, things like that. At least some soldiers. I'm not saying none of them are doing that. Maybe there are some bad soldiers in the bunch. I'm sure that could be the case. But for the most part, we are seeing lots of good deeds from the Ukrainian soldiers. So take a look at what this man has to say.
Разведка заходила, первых украинских солдат, мы были в подвале с мамой во время обстрела, а вечером они сами пришли в подвал, видимо, прочесывали, и сказали, что мы в этом доме находимся. Я сказал, что я хозяин дома, мы, говорит, ничего не будем не ломать, вы не беспокойтесь, мы не фашисты, мы никого не расстреливаем, то есть очень вежливо. Обычные украинские парни, мобилизованные. Вот. И вы тут находитесь, не выходите. И на следующее утро, когда я пришел, их уже не было. Они ушли. Ничего не взяли, ничего не сломали. Вчера я увидел, что остановились машины. Я в окно, значит, крикнул им, ну, чтобы они меня не стреляли. Они им говорят, иди сюда. Я подошел к ним, объяснил то, что я хочу эвакуироваться к маму. Он сказал, 15 минут, собирай вещи, и мы сюда сейчас подъедем. Через 15 минут они подъехали, посадили нас в машину и на скорости увезли в Сумы. Разведка заходила.
All right, so that was out of DW News. So very cool to see that. I mean, the Ukrainians helping this man out to get him out of Sudza and move him to Sumy. So very, very interesting that we're seeing the Ukrainians being very polite and obviously much different than how the Russians have been in Ukraine. What we've seen from the Russians, they just devastate everything, destroy everything. So the Ukrainians at bare minimum are trying to project themselves as a better, quality fighting force, quality people. And, who knows, maybe these regions will hold a referendum and try to join Ukraine. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see that. I was seeing some reports, but I wasn't completely able to verify whether that was true. But I was hearing they may start to hold some referendums in these regions that have been taken over by the Ukrainians. So that would be crazy if they did that. That'd be total payback to Russia for the invasion. So also, we got this video here from Igor Sushko. Russian fascists are sending World War II era towed howitzers to the front. So this video, I can't show you any sound because it's got music to it, but we are able to see these howitzers here. These are World War II howitzers heading to the front line to be used. Okay, we've been continuously seeing this. We've even seen old World War II tanks heading from Western Russia on over to the front line in Ukraine. So this is another big sign that Russia's running out of equipment, so they're having to dip into their very old war stocks to fill the gap and fit the needs for their troops to make sure they can continue fighting. So very crazy to see that too. We'll go ahead and keep moving. I got several more things to show you here before we get you out of here. PS01 reports Russian blogger, Romanov, reports that Ukrainians have launched a new offensive in Zaporizhia following the transfer of some Russian units from there to Kursk. It is totally unexpected. Now, I haven't seen any official reports coming out from this, but multiple people are reporting on X that there is some talk on like Telegram and things like that of Ukrainians launching an offensive in the Zaporizhia region. Okay, so this statement here from Romanov says Pologovsky District, Zaporozhye region, Russia, having waited for the transfer of our forces to the Kursk direction, the Ukrainian armed forces began an offensive in the area. Gerasimov, are you sleeping? Okay, so Valery Gerasimov, obviously in control of a lot of the troops that are fighting right now inside of Ukraine and also the Kursk region. He's the gentleman who also updated Vladimir Putin recently whenever the Kursk region was attacked by the Ukrainians. So that's kind of what he's talking about here is Gerasimov sleeping because there's an offensive with the Ukrainians pushing into Zaporizhia right now. And I had a feeling this was going to happen because obviously the Ukrainians launched a major offensive into Kursk, right? So this is their opportunity now that the Russians are moving a lot of their troops away from the eastern side of Ukraine. That should free up some slack for the Ukrainians to push on the eastern side and try to launch an offensive. Considering that there's going to be less Russian troops defending these areas down here. And now we're starting to see some reports about the Zaporizhia region and the Ukrainians launching an offensive. So I'll continue to follow that. Maybe we'll get some more reports here very soon that talk about that, and I'll be able to share more information, but we're starting to hear of that right now. Also, we've got another video here that has no sound, but this is from Visegrad 24. Ukrainian Air Force continues to strike Russian positions in the Kursk region of Russia. The Russians clearly don't have air superiority in the region. This was originally from Noel Reports. So no sound on this video, but we can see airstrikes being carried out inside of the Kursk region. I've shown you guys video footage. I think there was like an Su-24 that was flying just over Sumy near the Kursk region. And we also had a video the other day from a MiG, I think it was a MiG-29 that was dropping JDAM missiles, I believe is what they're called. Into an open field basically inside of Kursk that were dropping down below the ground and blowing up a bunker that was underneath the ground inside of the Kursk region. So we've been seeing lots and lots of airstrikes being carried out. We haven't seen any F-16s yet in this region, but we are seeing lots of Ukrainian MiG fighter jets and Su-24s, things like that, dropping bombs all over the Kursk region as well. So pretty crazy to see that. I got another video as well from Clash Report, German-supplied Ukrainian Marder IFV, which is infantry fighting vehicle, firing with its 20mm cannon at a building with Russian soldiers in Kursk region of Russia. So this video, unfortunately, I can't show the sound because it's got music to it, and every time we play music on YouTube, we start having issues with that, so I can't show you this video with sound, but we can show you the video footage of this German Marder firing its 20mm cannon at some sort of building here in Kursk. Supposedly there's Russian soldiers inside of here, and it's lighting this thing up pretty heavily, as you can see there. So very crazy to see that. That's more footage coming out from the Kursk region. The Ukrainians are definitely putting up one heck of a fight in the Kursk region. Also, one last thing from next to Ukrainian military took care of abandoned animals left in village of Kursk region. So again, more good deeds coming out from the Ukrainians. I showed you guys this the other day. The Ukrainians were taking care of some dogs that were left behind, unfortunately, because many of these citizens had to leave in Sutsa and many other regions of Kursk. So, you know, they've had to leave their dogs behind. Someone's got to care for them. So the Ukrainians are, you know, giving them food, giving them water. So take a look at this as well. 10 seconds.
Віддає свою воду тваринам, яких залишили наші вороги. Віддає свою воду.
So that's always nice to see that, right? At least the Ukrainians are doing a good job of taking care of the animals that are left behind. Hopefully the animals can find a new home and new owners to take care of them, or maybe their owners can come back and get their pets that they had to leave behind, unfortunately. So we know that, you know, obviously the Russians evacuated a lot of their people out, and maybe they just couldn't bring their dogs. They had no choice but to leave them behind. They probably were not allowed to bring them. So that's very unfortunate, but at least in the meantime, Ukrainians are doing some good deeds and taking care of people's pets while they are left behind, and hopefully they could find a good home. But yeah, guys, I mean, that's going to be it for today's update. Just wanted to share a few things coming out from the Kursk region of Russia. Also, we had that major attack in Moscow just today as well. And then we've got this new reports of these pontoon bridges being destroyed by ATACMS missiles, potentially. They were definitely cluster munitions. So again, if you guys know any information about those cluster munitions, if it's only ATACMS that Ukraine has that could potentially be shooting cluster munitions, I don't know if the HIMARS can do that, if it can be fitted with cluster munitions. But definitely we've got video footage of these pontoon bridges being destroyed by cluster bombs. So let me know what you think down below, guys. I hope y'all have a great day. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope y'all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.